Well. How we doing, guys? That is the way we like it. Nice, easy, not too much stress there at the final whistle. What do you guys think? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah,
Okay.
I just didn't know who was going to go first.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Yeah, it's been good. Thank you all for joining us. Real quick, I will get the housekeeping out of the way. Please, if you're new here, make sure to subscribe. Hit that thumbs up. It just helps get more like-minded Toon fans on uh, on to us and seeing us watching this content. We work hard in the background to keep this stuff going for you guys. Also, please, if you can, consider hitting that notification bell, joining the membership schemes. Again, as you can see below me, it starts at just 99 pence, and then you can see everything that we do. Also, as you see below me, Ballybet remains a sponsor of the channel, so we appreciate them. And man, did any of you had any bets on tonight? Any 3-0 bets maybe?
I did not know.
No bets.
No.
Well, unfortunately, no payouts, but next time we can get on it with Ballybet. They've got a great interface. They're trying to break into the UK market, but they're very big over here in the States. Whether you want to put some bets on tomorrow's games, if you want to put some bets on maybe some hockey games, some North American, American football season, whatever your sports, whatever your go-to is, there's all kinds of things you can bet on. And I believe the offer is still bet £10, get £10 free. So please hit that link, the QR. Make sure to bet responsibly. T's and C's apply. Thank you all. Well, let's get into that game. I'll start with you, Jacob. What did you think of? What are your overall thoughts on everything so far?
First of all, can you hear me?
Sorry, 1 minute. I'm trying to unmute you. For some reason, it keeps muting you.
Can you hear me?
Oh, I'll go to Nigel first while I try unmuting you. But Nigel, what were your overall thoughts tonight on the game?
Yeah, really good performance. First half was indifferent. I thought we started off the game quite well. Rode a Benfica storm probably halfway through the first half, and then when we scored Frank Gordon, it was just, I won't say plain sailing, but it became a lot easier. And a massive result in the grand scheme of things with the league format. A massive result, 2 wins on the board. Probably another point or two at least guarantees the playoff spots, the way it works and stuff. But yeah, big result. Obviously, the night started with some questionable decisions from Howe. But looking at it, I think he got everyone right. And Tonali didn't even get on the pitch. So
it's nice when you can actually give those guys rest, because Lord knows they need it. And it's good that we finally can give them a rest from time to time. Hey, Jake, try on your end unmuting. For some reason, it's not letting me unmute you. Maybe it's because you muted yourself. Otherwise, if you don't, maybe try hopping in and out. Sometimes it does goofy things. We'll get you right back in.
I can hear Jacob. Fine.
Oh, you could hear him.
I could hear him.
Interesting. Okay, well, we'll let him hop back in, because to be honest, there's a couple goofy things going on right now. Okay, how about now, Jacob? I think I hear you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Sorry about that. I don't know what was going on there, but let's get into it. Honestly, been having, I think, a couple issues with EV Mux, but we'll keep plugging away because hopefully it'll get fixed as we go along. But what were your overall thoughts on the game tonight?
Yeah, just can you see me as well, by the way? Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. You're perfect.
I'm not on the stage. That's fine. Yeah, no, really good. What Nigel says. I think first half was good, but I kind of wanted a little bit more. But yeah, I think overall I'm really happy. I think the second half came at a really important time. Yeah, just overall, I thought it was really, really.
Yeah. Hey, Jake, sorry, your mic is cutting in and out. I don't know. I don't know if Nigel, you can hear him fine. It's cutting out on mine. It seems like we're getting the whole gambit of fun stuff this morning.
Yeah, I can't hear him as well as he was a minute ago.
Yeah. Anyways, we'll plug along. Bear with us, guys. Sorry about some of the tech issues. There's the funds of live streaming, but yeah, my main thoughts of the game. It was obviously the result we wanted. Definitely we needed a bounce back after Brighton. The Brighton result was very frustrating, and I think we've got to make this a turning point, because I think we got some answers tonight. Hopefully they stick. One game doesn't mean we've all of a sudden cured all our problems. But what was one of our bigger problems, I think, going into this game? No contributions, or very little contributions from our wingers. And we finally saw our wingers show up. I think Anthony Gordon had a very good game. In the chat, I see Paul saying that he got man of the match. Also, I see Jimmy, thanks for joining us in the chat. But again, Gordon had a good game. A couple penalty shouts. I think Murphy, obviously that first assist, great job. We also had Barnes killing it, great job. So I think all in all was really, really good performance. And this is what we need, but we need this to be more than just an outlier. We need this to come. We need to see it again with Fulham on Saturday. So let's start with the lineups. As you alluded to, there was obviously some big calls that Eddie made. Who in particular, Nigel, were you concerned about? Who didn't you like in that starting lineup?
I wouldn't say I was concerned. Probably by any decision. I think Joe Linton not playing was a big one. Joe Linton not playing was a big one because he's such a big player for us. But it's not saying Millie's not capable, because he's shown that so many times that he is. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, up to the next international break now, we got games every 2-3 days. We've got Fulham Saturday, Tottenham next week, then another game, then another after Champions League game. So it's absolutely relentless. And the difference between this campaign to the last Champions League campaign is we've probably got 16, 17, 18 players who can capably play, whereas last time we probably had sort of 12 or 13, which, by the way, that's no exaggeration. Surprised, but big decisions had to be made, and they were made, and we should never doubt Howe because of what he's achieved before, and I think he got every decision spot on tonight.
We unfortunately don't have our good buddy Connor with us, but like he always said, if his name was Eduardo Haldinho, everyone would be rating him as the best coach. But yeah, no. Real quickly before I test you again, Jake, sorry for all the tech issues. It looks like there's some kind of weird connection between the stream. So everything is streaming, but unfortunately I can't see your guys' chat. So if you see me looking over to the left, that's why, because the only way I can see you guys in chat chatting tonight is by watching it on YouTube, just like you guys. So I apologize if I'm always looking over here. But please, thanks for watching. I see we've got 45 of you joining us. Please keep subscribing and hitting that thumbs up and put in your comments. Let us know your thoughts. We'll try and turn to them every so often. But apologies, I won't be able to show it on the screen because of that syncing issue. But Jacob, that first half and the lineups, was there anything that you were really concerned about, shocked you with the lineups when we saw that announced?
To the lineup, say?
Yeah, to the lineups.
I think there was question marks at the start. But you have to understand we are playing every 3 or 4 days in between this international break and the next. So I kind of do understand it. I was saying in the chat earlier, like, we don't know the condition of the players and how fatigued the players are. So, Eddie Howe knows better than us. So I think it's getting the balance, isn't it, between having a French team and sticking with a winning team. Well, not from Saturday, but you don't want to make too many changes. So yeah, I think there was question marks going through my head at the start of the night at 7:00 ish, but in the end he got it right. And yeah, I think we've got a strong midfield now, whereas last season we had we had a good 4 or 5, but now we've got like a 6 who can actually play in every single position in the middle. So yeah, it's looking a lot better this season, I think.
Yeah, and it's funny. We talked a little bit about the wingers, but I think there's a good parallel, and we can look at midfield. It was about this time last year where there was a little bit of that narrative of, no one would question that Sandro was better than Longstaff, but the performances when Sandro was starting weren't as good in that starting part of the season as when Sean started. And that question of like, was the balance right? And I think sometimes where I'm going with this is like with Elanga. It's obviously not clicking with Elanga right now, but this is not about a short term. We got to give some runway. It doesn't mean we won't be critical along the way when the performances aren't up to snuff. But I do think, just like we've seen the midfield evolve to what it is now, where we can finally afford to drop Joe. We didn't drop Bruno tonight, but dropping Sandro is pretty much the equivalent, if not maybe even more influential
Definitely.
than dropping Bruno. So being able to finally give that opportunity of rotate, I think Ramsey, from the bits I saw, again, unfortunately I was in the office, so I was watching as I could and multitasking, but the midfield's definitely looking solid. So let's go into the goal. The first goal. Let's again stick with you, Jacob. Jacob Murphy. Just like we're talking about Elango. What a pass, bombing down. What are your thoughts?
I think the thing with Murphy, probably maybe a little bit different to Elanga. Murphy does the basics really, really well. And I think we've probably missed that in the last few weeks with Elanga. Like, I think it's probably unanimous that we all agree that Elanga's not had a great few weeks, or probably a great start, if we're being honest. But yeah, I know we all say, "Oh, Murphy's underrated," but Murphy is very underrated. I think we have missed him.
Who else I think is missing the basics? One Alexander Isak. Sorry, I just had to throw
it Who? No, but yeah, I just think everyone thinks Murphy's underrated, but he is ridiculously underrated. Like, as a winger, because he's not called Mourinho, or he's sometimes not the easiest on the eye, but he does a really good job, and I think he's the perfect Eddie Howe player. And the pass that he made for Gordon for the assist, like, it looks really easy, but it's not. Like, a lot of wingers would get that wrong, or even a few inches or a foot too forward or a foot too back, and then the chance is gone. We saw it, I think, a little bit before when he tried to set up Ramsey. Like, he got it a little bit wrong, and the defender cleared it. So yeah, I think full credit to Murphy. I think he's done really well tonight, and I'd be very surprised if he doesn't start on Saturday again.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think those. How many times do we see those passes go wasted, or a defender get a foot on it? Just getting that perfect balance of not too far ahead that the goalie wants to come out and claim it, but not behind him, so that way he's having to contort or do something. It was well placed, and we all love Murphy, and sometimes he frustrates us, but I think that's what makes kind of him fit this so much better, because as you said, he typifies what Eddie Howe needs. Because the first thing I imagine that Eddie is telling any of his players is, I just need you to work hard and graft. And I think when you see people having success, it's clear that they try to focus on those fundamentals. And it's amazing how quickly. The one thing I find so interesting about football as a whole is it almost becomes like a snowball effect. Like, every goal within a game is easier to score when you have the lead. So I think, at times I think our problems look worse than what they are, because we never get that first goal, and you don't get that kind of pressure effect where we got that one. So then they have to open up. They have to chase the game a little bit more. They have to be a little bit more risk-taking, which then gives you more openings. And because we haven't been able to just break the ice early like we have at times in the past, and like we did again, relatively speaking, tonight, it gave us the opportunity to try and capitalize on their aggressiveness, which I think we've always been quite strong since Eddie has come.
No, yeah, I agree.
Yeah. What about you, Nigel? What's your thoughts on that first goal and anything else that maybe I'm missing in that opening stretch of the game that stood out to you?
Yeah, just following on from what Jacob said about Murphy, I think he is underrated. Probably even one of maybe the underrated players in the Premier League. What he offers and stuff. And before Howell comes, his career is probably finished at Newcastle. I know we've signed a lot of good players since Howell's arrived, but the Jacob Murphy one just shows what sort of coach Howe is and how he's improved Murphy. I think his assist last season was up there with the best. So although we signed Elanga, I don't think it's an instant Elanga start. So I like Elanga as a player, but I just don't think he has that end product, and not even just the first goal tonight. Murphy offered so much more than what I think Elanga has offered in recent matches, and I think he's a given to start on Saturday. Maybe Elanga will get a run in the League Cup next week. I'm not sure, but certainly for the bigger matches, I think Jacob Murphy gets a nod every time at the moment.
Yeah, I think at this moment, he's for the time being, the first name penciled in. And Alanga's got to fight to get that back. I mean, heck, we'll get to it, but Barnes put in a good performance. Joe's not with us at the moment, but as he would always say, Barnes. But yeah, he put in a shift and we can't complain. But yeah, that first half, though, from what I could see, it was a lot of back and forth. There was some momentum swings. There was 5 minutes where it felt like what I was watching or what I could hear from the commentator, it was all Benfica. And then it was 5 minutes of it sounded like it would be all us. So that game was very much in the balance going into halftime. And I think even in the early parts of the second half, I think one of the things that did kind of plague the game, and actually, I don't know if you guys heard this, I heard this going into the game, the VAR ref and the on-field ref were the exact same pairing as PSG away 2 years ago.
I didn't know that.
I'm glad I didn't know that before.
Does that change any of your thoughts about how he called the game tonight? Because, listen, I didn't watch, again, as I said, I didn't see it, every single second of the game. But there were, even in the little bit that I watched, so many calls that I'm not saying that all of them they got wrong, but when you see so many questionable ones, to get none of them is unbelievable.
I mean, I thought it was a penalty. I know towards the end it doesn't really matter when Gordon went down, but I thought that was a pen. Like, I literally went, oh, yes, yeah, come on, celebrate, we've got a penalty.
Yeah, no, literally, on our broadcast here in the States, they thought he awarded a pen.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait a minute, what?
I thought it was a no-brainer, but...
I thought the Bruno one was probably more clear-cut, but...
Yeah.
I will say
both,
on the
they're
Bruno
both questionable.
one, I can see an argument for him kind of flopping, but I've also seen it given. You think to what Woltemade said a couple weeks ago. He didn't go down and it wasn't given. So sometimes it's like, what am I supposed to do? If I try to play through it, you don't give it to me. So...
I think the Gordon one is probably more of a pen than the Bruno one because...
Oh, for sure.
I think... If I was a Benfica fan and the Bruno one got given, I wouldn't be happy at all. Like, yeah, he's got his arm. He's got his arm. I get that, but it wasn't. I don't think it was for long enough. Like when he was into the box, I don't know. I can accept that one, but I think if it was like 0-0 or we were losing 1-0 and that Gordon incident happened, I think there'd be a little bit of uproar.
Well, what about the Barnes one at the very end? Where he put it through the fullback's leg, and then he tried to go around him, and the fullback just pushed him down.
Yeah, I think it's similar to Bruno, though. I think sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't, but I think...
I mean, again, I only like to focus on them because I don't want it to ever be accused when, say, it does affect the outcome, that you only talk about it when it... Obviously, it didn't change the bearing of the game, and I think it, to me, just comes to a wider point at times of, and I would say in Champions League, typically the quality is more consistent. As much as like we always complain about that PSG handball, which I'm not saying we shouldn't. I mean, I constantly joke. I mean, in the Brighton game, I mean, how many of those did we see? And I kept looking to my friends, that's a Paris handball.
Yeah.
But not a. But what I was going to say there is at least it was consistent in the Champs League. I mean, they consistently call it much softer than how the Prem calls it. So as angry as it was for as much as we were legitimately robbed, I'm not going to say we weren't robbed. But I also think there was an element of with how UEFA calls it. It is kind of in.
I think VAR is genuinely implemented better in the
Exactly.
in the
Because
Champions
I'm a big
League.
Bundesliga
There's
fan.
very rarely you're stood around waiting for 4, 5, 6, even up to
Exactly.
7
I
minutes in
watch
the
a lot
Premier
of
League waiting for like one
Bundesliga, and
penalty or one offside.
I can only think of one occasion of VAR in Bundesliga where I was very angry with the decision. And that's over the last 3-4 seasons.
Yeah.
So, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. But yeah, I agree. It's more consistent. But, some yellow cards given. I know a lot of people didn't like the yellow card given to, I think it was Chow in the first half. I thought the little bit I saw was fair, but it was also kind of like after all the nippy little fouls they took to give none, and then the first thing that we got one was a little frustrating.
It was a yellow, and I wouldn't say it was a red, but
It's an orange.
I think it was definitely yellow.
Orange.
Yeah, it's an orange. That is.
Yeah.
I think it's not a red, definitely not. But
No.
I think when you see the player go down like that, you think, and obviously the speed that Chow's gone at, you think, oh god, come on. And then you see the yellow, you're like, oh. But
maybe I need to go back and look at that one because to be honest, I didn't.
It wasn't great.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe
I think if it happened the other way around, I would be like off my seat. Do you know what I mean? Like, what's he doing? But yeah, I think going back to the consistency thing, I think that's probably the only good thing with the Europe one. I think, at least there is a line and you know exactly where the line is. Whereas in the Premier League, it's a lot more stricter with a handball rule, which I agree with, but it's just different referees on different matches making their own different rules every week, and that's what fans don't like. There needs to be a clearer line. You can't really say if it hits his arm it's a handball because that's just not the case. But they need to implement something a lot more clear like UEFA do. But it's just what do you do?
Yeah, I agree with you because that's what I always say. There's almost an element of, as much as I do think there are times when it hits the arm. I'll perfect example, even though it wasn't a handball in the box. If we think back to the Spurs game last season and the one that they got really angry, they kicked the ball into Joe's arm and then it led to a turnover and then we scored off of it. I fully get the frustration, but there was no intent. Like, what's he supposed to do? Not have an arm? That whole argument. But there is almost an element sometimes, I think, if it was just black and white, no pun intended, that it hits your arm or not, it would make it less to argue about. Even though it would be more frustrating in the beginning.
I think the rules actually need rewriting, like with handball. Like, what is actually who actually knows the law?
Well, isn't it currently unnatural position and it can't be a deflection? So, like, if it comes off of a deflection,
it's subjective, isn't it?
Exactly.
But I think if you drew a line there where if it just hit your arm it was handball, when you're attacking in the opposition box, players would aim for your arm and then bang penalty. That would happen. You don't want that. You're taking away from the game. So
fair enough.
I just don't know what you do, to be honest.
Yeah. It's always when the subjectivity comes into it that makes it so tricky.
It's like a modern thing, though. Like this handball thing's like a modern thing. Like, it never used to be so many ways of viewing it. If you go back sort of, I don't know, 20, 25 years, it never used to be so many laws around such a simple part of the game. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, now it's from like your shoulder to your bloody fingertips. Well,
it's the bottom of your thingy, isn't it? Sleeve. But
yeah.
What's if someone's a double XL or someone's a small? Like,
maybe we need to look at it and think maybe it should be from your like elbow downwards. Like,
yeah, I think elbow downwards is fair.
Yeah.
But look at us rewriting the rules.
Well, I do think we have to pick on you a bit, Nigel, because you were very nervous about Pope's distribution. Are you feeling as nervous about Pope's distribution now?
The throw was incredible, absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible, but Pope with his feet, like it's
No, I
just
know. I'm
like
kidding.
Liverpool before the Carabao Cup final 2 or 3 years ago. Like what the hell was he doing there? And I feel like although he's a very good shot stopper, possibly even the best since we've had since Shea Given. But in terms of his feet and stuff, he's just a massive worry. I think massive worry. And
He is,
I
but
would
I
be
also feel
surprised by
like
Christmas if Ramsdale wasn't coming.
yeah, I fully agree with you. I'm just poking fun, but I do feel like there's an element of like again, kind of how we usually don't ever get just boring things as Newcastle fans. So there is an element of like Nick Pope perfectly embodies what I would expect a Newcastle keeper to be because at his core, he does the basics of the job arguably better than anyone.
Yeah, for sure.
But he also gives us those mini heart attacks. If you watched my vlog this weekend from a day in the life of an American or an international fan, if you haven't checked it out, shameless plug. I did a video this weekend of what it's like for us overseas. Check it out. But at one point when Nick Pope got that ball at midfield, I was joking and saying, Nick Pope in the middle of our midfield, Nick, like you never know what the heck he's going to do. And I think that's part of the beauty of Nick Pope.
I just wish that throw that he did today was against Liverpool. Where he gave where it led to the corner and then they scored. Well, yeah, but anyway, I think with his arms, he's
his
unquestionable.
Throwing is fantastic.
It's brilliant. And then, but then you could argue, oh well, what's the point of a keeper? It's just stop the ball going in the back of the net. But I think we've seen Man City take a punt on Donnarumma, who's probably better than Pope with his feet, but he's not known for his distribution, and so I think it depends. I think it'll be one of those situations where you don't know what you've got until it's gone. Like if we lose Pope now, I know we won't lose him because he's just signed another year, but I think if he does leave and Ramsdale or whoever comes in isn't great, we will miss him.
I
don't think Ramsdale's the answer. I really don't think Ramsdale's the answer at all. I really don't. Goalkeepers evolved so much over the last sort of 5-10 years with the whole feet thing as well. But ultimately, if Nick Pope's good with his feet, he'd almost be the perfect goalkeeper because shot stopping, I don't think there's many better in the Premier League.
Yeah. No. I'm curious if you guys would agree, but I feel like there's some parallels, and I only say this because I have a buddy who's a Man U fan. But De Gea a couple seasons ago, like De Gea made his mistakes with maybe distribution and things like that. And Man U were saying Onana's going to be the savior. And this and the grass is not always greener on the other side. That's what I just sometimes get nervous with Pope is, don't get me wrong, Pope is prone to an error, say, every 10 games that might really cost us. And I'm not trying to downplay that. But at the same time, I think we forget about some of the absolute astonishing moments that he's provided for us just doing the basics of keeping the ball out of the net. Because I'm with kind of on that side of things, Jacob, where to me, anything with your feet is a bonus.
Yeah, no, I think it's more than a bonus now, though. I think, isn't it? Like, I agree with you.
It is starting to creep there.
Yeah, but I think we saw it a lot of times tonight where we tried to play out. Well, we didn't. That was my point. We just hoofed it long, but we're set out as a team to play out, so we're hitting it long. Woltemade, as tall as he is not that good in the air. Like when he's physically against centre halves, I don't think he doesn't win that many headers. And then we were losing the ball a fair bit through that. So, but yeah, when we did start to play, it obviously made a lot more sense. But yeah, I think I'd rather have someone good with the gloves on their feet, definitely.
Will this team will just keep like evolving in the sense that like eventually we'll get an upgrade for Pope. Eventually we'll get an upgrade. We've had an upgrade for Shah this summer. Eventually we'll get an upgrade for other players in the team like Barnes, etc. The team will just evolve. Pope was brought in after just after we survived the first season after the takeover. Same as Matt Target, and then do you know what I'm saying? I think the team will evolve. How much longer Pope has remains to be seen. maybe another season or two or tops. I would personally say.
I'd be surprised if he saw past his contract, which ends in 2027 May or June.
And even by then he could become sort of second.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, like you said, Nigel, I don't think Ramsdale's the answer. I think we've got Ramsdale just because he's good with his feet. Like, I don't think he's a decent keeper. Don't get me wrong, but he's not at the level that we need.
I think
I know so many people
I think
going
when
on by
it Trafford, I
Christmas.
think the Trafford was the one. I think he would be starting now if we would have got Trafford.
Yeah, I think. Well, look how that's turned out for him.
Yeah,
but, yeah, I think. Yeah, if only. But I don't think it's the first position we need to fill or replace. I think Trippier's 34. Like he can't play twice a week. Like he might have to in the next month. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that plays out.
I mentioned it earlier on the group chat. I was threw around the idea of Kraft there.
I think that'd be the only thing, unless he plays Chow right back. I don't know, but I'm just
so. It looks like we have an Everton fan or maybe a Sunderland fan in the chat. They think that we're crazy for saying Pope is better than Pickford. I would take Pope over T-Rex Arms any day. And I'm not even saying that biasly. Personally,
I probably would, but that's only because of his Sunderland connections.
Okay,
Pope's a better shot stopper than Pickford, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, again, joking aside, as much as we love to rib him, I mean, he is, factually speaking, much shorter. I mean, I think of that Trippier free kick. I think it was the Trippier one, or I can't remember if it was the Miggy one that he scored when he was in that purple patch and he bended around Pickford. But there was one of those ones when we played Everton that I'm like, if you were of an average male height, your arms would have been there.
I don't think he's that. I think he's shortish for a keeper. I think he's
okay. Fair enough. Maybe average,
but yeah, I know what you mean.
Fair enough. It is funny you say that because not that this is a basketball thing. I'm not into basketball, but I was joking about Steph Curry being short, and one of my friends corrected me. He's like, he's like 6'3", right? And I'm like, what? Because I'm not a basketball fan at all. But anyways.
Short for a basketball player. But
exactly, he's short for a basketball player, but for normal human beings, no. But yeah. So obviously Barnes put in a shift, 2 goals tonight. Do you think he put in a good? What do we do with Barnes? I mean, he honestly always seems to be his best off of the bench. I mean, it's hard, we hate to lump someone in, but is he really just that super sub?
There was whispers once, twice over someone there about Barnes' future in Newcastle. He doesn't get ahead of Gordon. I don't think. Although he played well tonight, I don't see him as a right winger. I don't think he's that effective on the right side. I don't know what we do with Barnes. I obviously don't know what we do with Barnes going forward. I suppose super sub is probably the best option, and then if injuries occur, maybe he gets more of a regular start. But
I think the only situation where Barnes plays is if Woltemade gets injured and then Gordon goes through the middle, and then that's what you don't want. But yeah, Gordon is undroppable. Like this is the Gordon that we've missed. Like we've been waiting for this Gordon all season. Like he played unbelievable tonight. So yeah, hopefully that can continue, and then Woltemade just needs to.
It almost seems like as well, Gordon, when the Champions League games come around, he's almost like he has a little bit more of a cutting edge to it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, can he do it against Fulham? We'll see. But yeah, I think I'd still go with Murphy. I think Murphy played well for the first hour that he was on the pitch or whatever it was. I'd still go with Murphy on the right, and then I don't know. Whenever Barnes starts, he just doesn't. He's decent, but he's not as good as off the bench.
I think Barnes' game suits. Like, I also think, probably with the exception of maybe the West Ham game, but like I think his play style, maybe it's suits that tired legs, maybe it's that, or it's just the game state. Again, when you're coming the later parts of the game, there's a little bit more space. And again, I don't know if that's from fatigue or what it is, but he just does seem to, I can't really think of any moments where he's come on, like, in his big impact moments, they've always been late. I can't think of like his great games ever being an early performance. And again, I don't dislike the guy. We want him to do well, but I think looking towards the weekend, I think you got to start Gordon and Murphy as your wingers, because considering that Elanga started for Brighton. I think the argument of Murphy being tired is not necessarily there. Like, any one of them should be able to do 2 games in a row.
I'll make a real controversial statement now. I think we need to go as strong as we can for the weekend, because ultimately we need to get back up on the Premier League form. We need to get back in the Champions League for next season. But I would say go strong on Saturday, as strong as we can go on Saturday. Probably much similar to lineup tonight. And then next midweek, I believe you have Tottenham in the League Cup.
Yeah.
And although that competition was really good for us, I would certainly be bringing the changes in and give players like Barnes, even players like Kraft, Millie or Sula again the chance to go. Ultimately, we want to go to Wembley again. We want to win the League Cup again, which would be massive for us again. But ultimately, we want nights again like this next year. We want to be back in the Champions League because we want the best players in Europe to come next summer, and we're not going to get that without Champions League football again. And we can't make it a one-off thing again. We need this every season now.
Yep. No, exactly. I mean, I said that at the beginning of the season. To me, the only thing that matters is requalifying for Champions League next year. I think second most important is then how we do in the Champions League, because I don't want it to just be a token appearance like it was last year. Especially this new format, I think benefits us. Like, I would even argue now that we have 2 wins, we maybe have a little bit of a wiggle room to get a draw when we should have got a win, or even drop a loss in there when you'd want to win. I mean, again, it's still early yet. It's not like I don't know what the table is. I know we were 11th, I think, going into this game week of Champions League.
I don't know the statistics from last year. It'd be interesting to look it up. But we're on 6 points now. If that doesn't guarantee a playoff place, which I think is playoffs down to 24, maybe 24 teams, 20.
I forget.
It would be mad if we don't get playoffs from this position. I'm mad, absolutely mad.
Yeah, I think that's the important thing. As long as we get into those playoff positions or better, ideally better, and I think it's very achievable because we've now got. Like Bilbao at home, I think that's pretty winnable. And between all the remaining 3 away games, I feel like you get a draw or 1 win from there, and boom, I think you're looking pretty good. And I forget who's our last home game against, because we've got Bilbao and we'll have one more.
Bilbao, PSV, Leverkusen away, Marseille away, and I think PSG away, which brings back some
PSG. Yeah, we probably ain't getting something there. We've got Leverkusen away because I'm trying to go to that one. And then we've got Marseille away. But anyways, let's mix things up a little bit. Let's do some quick player ratings. We'll fly through it as we talk through the team and all that. But before we do that, do you guys agree? Have any big complaints with Anthony Gordon being man of the match? That's who was selected.
No. I think Bruno might have come close, but I think Gordon was unreal tonight.
Yeah. Best game we've seen from Gordon in a while.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Hey, also a reminder for any of you guys coming out recently, there's a syncing issue with the chat and everything. So it's harder for me to see the chat and read it out. I see you, Rylan. I see you, Channel Right, Pillow Hands. Thank you all for please chatting. I'll try to get to it as I can, but it's hard because I literally have to look over in the video. EV Mux is having an issue and it didn't sync properly. So thank you so much for still commenting and contributing. It really means a lot. I'll try to get some questions if I can. If you can, helps me spot it. Put a Q at the front of it, and I can. If you got any questions, I can try to throw it to the guys. But real quickly, while we're also in a break, don't forget. Thank you again, Ballybet, our sponsor, has been hooking us up the last couple of matches and hooking you guys up. I actually misspoke at the beginning, so let me correct that. It's not bet 10, get free £10. It's bet £10, get a free £20 in bet. There you got bets on all kinds of things, boxing, F1, hockey, whatever you want. Again, I mentioned hockey. That's my other sport I watch a lot of. Like to get some bets on every once in a while there. They've got all kinds of things, nice bet builder, live markets, all kinds of different things, live parlays. make sure you go in and check them out. You can scan the QR code, make sure 18 plus, and that you bet responsibly, be gamble aware, T's and C's apply. So let's do our player rankings. We'll start with Sir Nicholas Pope. I'm going to give I'll survey you guys because I know some of you guys in the UK have very strong opinions about this. Do you guys do half points or does it have to be a full point?
I'm gonna be out of 10 in it, I think.
Yeah, we can do it hard. I think we can do hard.
I like half points, but I used to do a show with some other friends, and one of them was very adamant about no half points.
No, I think you can have two players at a similar caliber, but one just slightly better. So I think that's fair.
So I'm with that logic. I'm going to start. I'll go Nick Pope 8.5. That extra 0.5 coming from that Hail Mary throw. Sign him up for the American football team when he's over.
Yeah, no, I'd definitely agree. I think he made a couple of decent saves as well, which I think other keepers may not. I think he made a couple from their right winger, who was unbelievable, by the way. So yeah, I think. I mean, what more do you want? An assist and a clean sheet, and he's made a couple of saves. So yeah, I think 8.5 is fair.
Yeah. What about you, Nigel?
I'd probably go 8.
Okay.
I'd probably go 8. But yeah, it's in the same sort of category. In the same.
Yeah. Totally fair. We'll go over to Kieran Trippier. I'm going to have to refrain from this one because, again, with me being in and out, I did not see enough of Trippier to, I think, give an adequate guess on this one. I mean, I don't recall seeing anything that really was terrible, but I can't remember seeing anything from him that really stood out to me. So I'll just go with the safe 7 and hope that there's nothing I missed that you guys strongly agree or disagree.
Yeah, I think I'd maybe a 6.5, at 7 maybe. At the end of the day, as a defender, we didn't concede. I thought his corners were very good. I thought his set pieces were good tonight. But I think he's not getting any younger. I don't think he's going to be up and down the pitch like he used to be.
Yeah.
So I think 6.5 maybe, but I wouldn't argue with a 7.
Yeah, I'd go with 7. I think he was good. He was solid. Nothing spectacular. A couple of passes in the latter part of the second half went a bit weird, but 7. You know what you're getting with Trippier, and yeah, I can't see him being at Newcastle beyond the next season or two either.
Yeah. We'll go on to Malik Chow at right center back. I think a solid game. Obviously, I'm going to defer to your judgment. You guys said his tackle maybe was a little mistimed, so I'll dock some points off of that. But I'll go 7. Again, I don't think he did anything amazing. I don't think me personally, again, I know some people have different. I've always said 7 is kind of like my baseline. So if you do bad, I go down from 7. So I would say he didn't do anything that really was terrible. Wasn't his best night that we've seen of him, but I definitely don't think it was his worst night either.
Yeah, I definitely think 7's fair. I think, like I said before, he's a defender. We didn't concede. I think, yeah, no balls that cut their midfield apart. But yeah, I think 7's fair.
I'd agree as well. I think 7. He wasn't spectacular, but he wasn't bad. He was solid and yeah, did his job pretty well.
Yeah. And guys, please can join along in chat. Let us know your thoughts. I'll try to peek over and see what you guys are thinking as well. We'd love to hear what your ratings are. Let's go on to Sven Botman. I was a little critical of Sven on the weekend. I think he was a little bit to blame, in particular on that first Welbeck goal. But I think he had a much more solid performance tonight. Again, I'm just going to stick with a 7. I didn't get to see enough that I might have missed a thing or two, but I'm going to go with the safe 7.
You could maybe argue 7.5. I think it was slightly better than Chow tonight. He looked really solid. I think I'd go 7.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with 7. I do think Sven Botman is still our best defender out of the 3 or 4 of them. But yeah, 7 is fair.
I'll let you go first on this one, Nigel. What about Dan Burn?
Dan Burn. he was caught once in the first half, really badly. And he normally is Mr. Reliable. So I'm going to use a half for this one and probably go 6.5.
Yeah, I think I agree. It was a threat from set pieces. Like that was probably one of our routes, but yeah, I think if their winger puts that chance away on the right hand side, then you probably focus on it a little bit more. Lucky that Pope's a good shot stopper, better than Pickford. So yeah, I think 6.5 is fair.
Yeah. Yeah. Also better than Roberto Sanchez. I saw somebody, Robert Sanchez, I should say.
I'm
Somebody
better than
saying
him.
Sanchez is better than Pope. That's
No chance.
outlandish.
No chance.
But hey, to each their own opinion. But yeah, listen, Dan Burn as a left back, it's hard to be better than almost a 6.5. I love that man to death, but the sooner we get him back to center back, the better. And I understand he's putting in a shift, and it's not his fault. I know we had a little bit of a background chat of just, playing devil's advocate. If you could, would you almost wish we still had Target just given this circumstance? Again, I don't know if he really is that much better, but at the same time, Dan Burn, especially now, is just not suited. He doesn't have the legs. And as much as he tries to use his brain and positioning to compensate for the speed, it's just he sometimes gets burned. And like you said,
go on, sorry.
I was just going to say, I fully agree. If that goal had been scored, that would have instantly probably put him down in the 5s or 6s because he was pretty much solely responsible. But fortunately,
I don't see where Dan Burn and Shaw come back into this back four. When you look at it, you got Livramento, Chow, Botman, and Hall. Yeah, I just don't see them getting back in, and they are great players and great servants. Shaw and Burn.
I feel that way more about Cher than I do Burn. I think in the immediate term, I'm not saying that I don't agree that Botman is the future. And with every week that he doesn't get hurt again, I'm starting to rebuild my trust and thinking that he is the future. But I think on present form and just short term, I don't think Dan Burn and Sven Botman really, they're stylistically different, but I don't think one is really that much better in the short term. Long term,
I think Botman's a better defender than Dan Burn for sure.
I think Burn's better in the air, obviously, because he's 3-4 inches taller. But I was thinking about this earlier. Like, say, because we have got a lot of games every 3 or 4 days, do you play the same centre half pairing for every single game, or do you rotate once and then if Cher has a really good game, what do you do? Like, it's a good problem to have, but it's just a thought.
Defense is like a real difficult area of the pitch as well because it's kind of an area of the pitch where you need unity. It's one thing like changing your midfield to wingers and strikers and stuff, but defense is a real difficult one. And by the way, we're gonna, hopefully we're still gonna have 2-3 games a week when we come into February and even March, and hopefully even April if we get to certainly the latter stages of the Champions League, which we all want.
Yeah, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. Thank you so much. Lots of you guys watching. We appreciate it. Please get a thumbs up. It helps other Toon fans find us. But let's move forward. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying there. It's harder to put rotation in the defense, but I do think at the same time it is needed from time to time. Cheers, Dale. Thanks for joining us in chat. But let's move on to the midfield. So I think Bruno was out on the right. So what I know one of you guys mentioned that maybe Bruno was within a shout of your man of the match.
British really. I 8. I think I give Bruno an 8. I think first half he was okay, and then second half he really came to life a lot like the other players. I think it's because I've got such high expectations of Bruno now that a really good performance is like the norm for him, which is obviously not a bad thing. It's not a critique of him. I think he's just set the bar so high. So I don't know if you'd agree, but I think an 8.
I agree with 8. I totally agree with what you're saying. Bruno never really has a bad game. Like I think it's quite often that he'll always have like a 7 as minimum. So yeah, I would agree. Definitely 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll stay consistent. Again, I didn't see all of it, but I didn't see anything that Bruno didn't do well. Move on to young Lewis Miley. I'm going to put it this way, and hopefully I didn't miss things because, again, didn't see the whole game. But I'm going to give Lewis Smiley. I think I'm going to give him. I'm going to go an 8-2, only because I think he's stepping into some big shoes, and maybe I'm grading against the curve, which is not fair, but I think he's showing us what we can have and that ability to rotate. The fact that we were able to not start Sandro, not even bring Sandro on in the end, that is vital. Because I don't know, have we still, I know for maybe it was Premier League only, but I think we had never won a game without Bruno. Now, obviously that might still be true, but Sandro is probably not much better at our points percentage without Sandro, especially in the last year, because I would argue that Sandro has been our most important player the last year. But yeah, I think Lewis Miley stepped in. Maybe I'm being a little generous, like I said, grading against the curve. But the fact that I don't think he made any glaring mistakes, that for a player of his age, that's really all I want to see is stability, and don't be a liability when I put you in.
I think the only caveat I'd say is he missed a sitter tonight from that corner. I think it was a corner. Yeah, it was a corner.
I heard that on the radio broadcast. I couldn't see it, so I don't know how much of a sitter it was, but I did hear that he came in unmarked.
Yeah, he's 3 yards out. Is anywhere and he scores. And he's like 6'2" as well, so there's no excuse. I'd argue a 7.5, but I'd be happy with an 8. I just think maybe to put him as the same rating as Bruno is, I don't know. But like I said, Bruno's got such high expectations now, hasn't he? But no, I think for a young lad, what is he, 19, 20, whatever, I think he's done unbelievable. Like, he's doing a lot better than I was at 19.
I'd go 7 for Millie.
Okay.
I think he was okay. I think he was okay. He was okay.
Yeah. I'm probably being a little generous grading him on the curve. Let's move over to the left. Jacob Ramsey started. I heard a few things as in the first half of him maybe beating a man or dribbling past a man. So I'm thinking that he had a decentish performance. I'm going to go 7.5. But again, I'll defer mostly to your guys' insights.
I wanted to talk about Jacob Ramsey. I don't know if it's just me, but he doesn't look happy. Like, I don't know if that's just me seeing, a player just coming back from injury, struggling to hit the ground running, obviously can't really get in the team with the 3 that we've got in the middle. I thought he was okay tonight. I think I see him as like a better version of Willock, like that style of player. Like, that's what I see Ramsey as. But which is maybe a bit harsh. But yeah, I get
the sentiment. I get what you mean.
How much did we pay for Ramsey?
Enough.
Yeah, I think he was really poor tonight. I'd put him as low as 6, if not 5.5. I've not seen anything this season. I know he's been in and out of the sideline, but tonight he was a chance to showcase what he had and everything. I thought he was really poor tonight.
I think it's difficult as well because he's obviously just come back from injury, and I think it's his first start, isn't it? So being lobbed into a Champions League game, I think maybe I make an excuse for him. But yeah, I think he just put in a shift in and nothing more.
So we got him for 45.1 million euros. It says. So I don't know if that is in pounds, but
what's that? 5-10 million more than Bruno.
There's a couple of. There's a couple of questionable transfers. When you look back at it now, I know hindsight we're thinking questionable transfer of summer. You're looking at Ramsey, and we mentioned Whisper on the group chat. A couple of questions. One, when we got the first couple of transfer windows, so right with Bruno and Botman and Tonali and these gems from like bloody literally nowhere, and then we're going for guys like this. I think those two, Ramsey and Whisper, are certainly questionable.
I think we're looking at it from like, we've signed them 2-3 months ago. We've had these other players.
Yeah, true.
A matter of a year or two. So maybe it's going to take time. Obviously, listen, it's not Vista's fault, is it? But hopefully, from a selfish point of view, I hope he doesn't go to AFCON, because that'll be what you'd be called ideal. But yeah, I think it's going to take time, isn't it? I think
I'm more the one I'm probably most worried about of those 3 of being a bust. I think is Alenga. I think Ramsey. I hear what you're saying about his body language, And I've thought that at times too, but there's almost an element of, again, maybe I'm trying to make an excuse, but I've seen it so often that I wonder if that's just kind of his personality. Like he's just maybe not very emotive. Like I think Malik Chow is pretty deadpan. Even Sven Botman, I think at times doesn't necessarily look like he's happy. And I've heard people, especially when all the injuries were going on, and then especially that he liked Isak's post, there were things like, oh, he doesn't want to be here either, things like that. And I think it's easy sometimes to worry about those things. And I'm not saying that you're wrong for maybe pointing out. Who knows? We could look at 8 months and, I think there's an eerie similarity to the Elliot Anderson to Forrest and Ramsey to us. Like, I think it's pretty well established that Ramsey is a pretty big Villa fan, grew up, all that thing. So I think there's an element of that. But I would even say, look back at Sandro. I think Sandro didn't look happy when he first came. And again, I think it would be hard to say that he doesn't. So we'll see what happens. I think we got to give him time. But I do worry about the Elanga one sometimes, that I think we may have bought a guy that kind of like Chris Wood that doesn't fit our system. Not that he's a bad player, but that he doesn't fit how we play.
Do we think our the way we're looking at transfers now has changed in the sense that we're going for more sort of the proven Premier League player rather than the hidden gems in the European market?
I definitely think there has been, and I would argue there needs to be a gradual evolution. But at the same time, this year I did not like how we were going. I think we have to separate where we are on the pitch and where we still are in the bigger picture of the football ecosystem. And we're still not, as crazy as it is, there's still delusional people that would rather go to Man U than us. I mean, I don't understand, and that's no disrespect to Man U, but how, if you've been watching football and I'm a player in the last 5 to even 10 years, why would I, as a young, promising player, want to go there? It has been a graveyard of careers.
I think
but people still do it because of the promise of, if I'm the one that turns it around.
We're still so early into our journey, aren't we? Unfortunately, United have got sort of 30, 40 years of success. The last sort of 12 to 15 years, United have been an absolute shambles the way they've been run and stuff. But you're right. We lost in Benfica this summer. Yeah.
I think it's a money thing as well. Like, we're not going to match United's wages. Like, we're not going to pay Sesko 200 grand a week. Like, do one. Like, and that's turned out well, hasn't it? So,
yeah. I mean, listen, we've got. We'll do his match score while we're at it, but I want a match, his game rating, and then also his goal rating on the Brighton goal, because I still can't move on from it.
Woltemade.
Yeah, Woltemade. We'll jump to Woltemade because why not?
I don't think he did anything other than this. Well, the pass before the assist. I think I probably 7.5. I give him. I don't think he did anything exceptional. It was fairly quiet, I thought. But yeah, he had some good touches. Don't get me wrong. He linked up the play really well sometimes. But because he's done it before, I kind of expect that from him now. If that makes sense. So
no, 100%. You sometimes get like grade on the curve in the converse. You just expect them to do that.
Yeah, I'd say 7.5.
I would say 8. I would say 8, but only just. I think he was really good tonight. The pass, was it the pass to Murphy for the goal? Was just like,
it was to Gordon, wasn't it? And then
was it that pass was just absolute. And his link up players is so good. Like our striker before, we didn't really have the link up play. Yes, we had over the top, but the way he drops deep and links up, and his passing range is amazing.
What would you guys give his goal on the weekend? I know we're actually, let's put it. What was better, Bruno's back heel, flat-footed at Southampton?
That's unfair.
Or Woltemade's back heel. Who back heeled it better?
I don't know.
It's a really unfair question.
I'd probably say
I'll go
Woltemade because he's
first.
coming
I
onto
think
it.
I'm going to say Woltemade just
Yeah,
because of how
probably.
far he was from goal.
I think Bruno was a lot closer, wasn't he?
Exactly. There's an element of Bruno just had to get contact, and that was kind of it. Albeit it was awkward and timing and everything.
Was Bruno's intentional? Like fully intentional?
Oh yeah. Bruno's. If you go back and look that one, I would say it's fully intentional. But I don't know. Maybe I'm being biased. Was Sandro's intentional last year? Of course it was.
I don't think he had any right to score on Saturday, did he? From the position he was in, really.
No. There's only one place he could have scored, and that's where he put it. So I think, I think he's coming onto it as well. Like, he's not coming onto it like that, like Bruno was. So yeah, I'll probably go next.
Prior to Saturday, I was actually worried about his away performances. I thought he was going to be one of these players that only turned up at home.
Yeah, he wasn't amazing against Bournemouth away, but yeah,
no, he wasn't. But he did show up when it counted, and I would say again, if you were to put a bet on that, you would. I mean, if you can foresee that, that would have been great. But again, thank you, Ballybet, for sponsoring us. Again, if you haven't already, scan that QR code. You get your free offer for teaming up with us. You bet £10, you get £20 free bets. Again, you can bet on whatever you want. We've got plenty of Europe action tomorrow. We got Europa League on Thursday. Maybe you want to put something on there. But please make sure you bet responsible, be gamble aware, 18 plus, T's and C's apply. Thank you again, Ballybet, for sponsoring us. But let's speed through the last couple because there's one other big talking point that I want to talk about other than ratings. Jacob Murphy. I think I'm going to give Jacob Murphy the man of the match personally, just because with all, again, maybe I'm grading on the curve, but with all the up and down and Elanga this, he has been nothing but solid, and I don't think you've ever seen a lick of him complaining or that all of a sudden he was displaced. He just comes in and does a job, and I as we talked about earlier in the show, I think we take him for granted sometimes, so I'm going to give him a 9.
Interesting. I personally go Gordon tonight, but I wouldn't argue against Murphy. I think because he's not started, recently. I think we have realised what we've missed. Like, as bad as that sounds on Elanga, it's an interesting one. What do you do with Elanga? Obviously, I think you start Murphy on Saturday, and then do you go back to Elanga on against Spurs midweek? I don't know, but yeah, I think Murphy. I think our wingers tonight. I think that's what made us click tonight, because our wingers have not really been performing recently. And bringing Murphy back in, Gordon having a good game. I think if them two have a good game, Baltimore has a good game. So I think that's what made us click tonight. So yeah, I wouldn't argue with Murphy.
I would go 8.5 for Murphy.
Sorry, yeah.
I just thought because I gave Pope an 8.5, I had to go to 9. That was my logic. But I probably am leaning more of an 8.5. I don't think he had a wonder performance, but
I was actually surprised Murphy come off. I was a bit like I wasn't. Obviously, it was the best sub. It was the best sub of the night, but I was a little bit surprised he come off. He's not like he had a bad game.
I think we need some fresh legs, but you couldn't take Gordon off, could you? So I think there's only really one option. I don't know how his Achilles is, by the way. He said he's nursing it a few weeks ago, so I'm not sure what that's like. So
Gordon, then it sounds like you guys are. I'm assuming 8.5s and 9s.
I go 9.
9.
For Gordon.
Yeah,
I'll go 9 if not 9.5. I thought he didn't stop running all night.
No. Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think really the only 2 subs that were on for significant time were Barnes and Joe Linton. I feel like they're the only ones we can really grade.
Yeah.
Am I forgetting someone?
Realistically.
I mean, Asula came on, but I don't think Asula was really on to grade. I don't think Willock was on long enough to grade.
Willock, he got about 30 seconds, didn't he?
I mean, listen, if Miley couldn't put it away, what is Willock doing? I mean,
yeah, I know.
He was 3 millimeters from the net.
It's unbelievable. I think the subs. I think I don't. It feels harsh giving Barnes less than Gordon because obviously he scored 2.
Good finish as well. Good
I'm going to
finish.
say
Yeah.
8 for Barnes just because I want to take into effect that he wasn't on, but I agree. His impact to the game obviously was vital.
You give Barnes at least an 8, if not 8.5.
I think 8.5. I think that the goal from Pope, where like that is an unbelievable finish. There's only one place that can go in, and it's off the post. Like anywhere else, he saves it or he goes wide. So I go 8.5. I would.
I was just disappointed. I don't think he didn't do his bow and arrow, did he? Because that's one of my favorite sellies. But anyways, Joe Linton. What'd you guys think of Joe? I'm gonna give Joe 7.
Yeah, I guess so.
I'd go 7. Yeah, didn't have enough time. Didn't have enough time to make a significant impact in the game.
No.
The last thing I wanted to talk about before we wrap it up, and again, thank you guys. Please, if you haven't already, hit that thumbs up. Thank you for being patient. I know I haven't been able to hit the comments as much as normal. Again, I apologize. There was a disconnect with EV Mux tonight, so I'm trying to glance over. Looks like there's a lot of goalie chat, so I didn't want to keep this to be the goalie show. But what did you think of the little magpie, Jose Mourinho, being back at St. James's? Do you guys have any personal memories of him? Just, anything? I think it's obviously important to us, his connection with Sir Bobby. I think maybe it's easy for us to kind of take the compliments, but he's always just so positive, appreciative, complimentative of us, and I appreciate that respect. I know some, I was watching a clip on TalkSport. I know not everyone loves TalkSport, but Simon Jordan was kind of saying, "Oh, he's just kind of pandering to the audience," but I don't think it's just that with him. I think he does mean it. So I was just curious, what does Jose mean to you guys, and his legacy and kind of his loose connection with us?
I've always had massive respect for Jose. I think he's always got good things to say about us. Always has done. I think he said he's a little magpie before, hasn't it? Ages ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he's just a serial winner. That's what he is. He's a personality. I think he's slowly drifting out of the game. But yeah, it's unusual to beat a Jose team 3-0 as well, because normally they're really solid at the back. So I think it says a lot about us tonight as well. He's got an awful record. He's got an awful record at St James's. I think he's won 1, and that was in COVID with Spurs. But yeah, massive respect for Jose. Nothing bad to say about him. And long may the bad record at St James's continue.
I would agree. I would echo those points. Mourinho is one of the greatest football managers that's ever lived. So Bobby obviously had him as assistant at Barcelona and maybe Sporting Lisbon as well. So it certainly helped shape his career and what he went on to achieve at Chelsea and other clubs. Yeah, he's one of the best. And it's never really happened for him, has it? He's never had that opportunity to sort of manage Newcastle. But I suppose would always be a soft spot for him. And as Jacob rightly said, he don't beat Mourinho teams 3-0, and he's actually made quite a good start as Benfica manager. I think Fenerbahce was actually his first club he didn't win a trophy at. So serial winner. So unbelievable result tonight when you look at it.
I think isn't he the only one to ever win all 3 champs, Europa and conference?
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, my memories are a little bit more limited because, I don't know how much you guys – I've said it's on some past shows, but it's been a while. I started following Newcastle and English football very closely in 2015. But I knew of Mourinho because I did loosely in the early 2000s. I followed Chelsea a bit because I had a different buddy that I grew up with that was a Man U fan. So I used to just – annoy him because that was kind of peak Chelsea Man U not liking each other. So I kind of said, hey, I'll be Chelsea just to get under his skin. But so I remember Jose in those days. And yeah, he's got that charisma, like that you either have it or you don't. Like we love Eddie, but Eddie doesn't have that charisma.
I would argue a case for Mourinho that Chelsea 04-05 team was one of the best the Premier League has ever seen. I really would argue a strong case for that.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Conceding 15 goals in the season is ridiculous.
Yeah, unbelievable team. Yeah.
It's he's a good guy. He's a character, you know. But yeah.
Sadly, though, he is drifting out, as Jacob really says. And that's really sad because he's one of the great.
I would have loved to see him maybe be with us, but I think that time is past. Like you said, I think he's on the decline, and what if the day whenever we move on from Eddie, I don't think that's where we are going now.
No,
I think
we've been linked to Mourinho in the past when Howe's been under pressure, and it's just it would be a backward step, wouldn't it?
Final thing with you guys before we go on coaching, just popped in my head. Thoughts on Postecoglou being gone and Mr. Daichi back at the Forest, or not back at Forest, but back in the Premier League now at Forest. You guys have any? I mean,
sorry, I did a TikTok on this, and I was just saying, like, it was so predictable beforehand. It was a wrong appointment. I know it's easy to say that now with hindsight, but it was the wrong appointment from day one. Like going from Nuno, similar to Mourinho style, really, and then going from one extreme to the other with Ange. That is not going to solve itself in 8 games. Like you're not going to.
Yeah.
That is going to take a long time to transition from. So yeah, I just think it was a dreadful.
I also think it was just foolish on Ange from the perspective of it's too soon. Like think about Eddie. I think if Eddie tried to come right back into the Premier League after Bournemouth, I'm sure someone would have had him. But then there would have been that lingering thing. You just got Bournemouth relegated, blah, blah, blah. But I think he did the smart thing and took a time away to let that narrative tone down. I don't actually think Ange is that bad. I think he's a little, he's a bit nippy personality and such like that. But I don't think he's a total imbecile. I mean, we forget that for about 6 months, Spurs almost looked like title contenders when he first came out of nowhere. So I think there's some structure there. It's just like many coaches. He doesn't really have a plan B.
I think it's a shambles. I think the Forest owners absolutely. I don't see Dyche being there in 12, 18 months. He's short-term appointment. He might probably keep them up this. He might keep them up the season. Probably will keep them up the season. But I
think you mentioned Eddie there as well, having that time off. Like I remember watching a Monday Night Football ages ago, and Eddie was saying like how valuable it was for to have 9 months off, and go to Atletico Madrid, watch them train, and learn off of so many different things, and then get back into it. A little bit what Gary O'Neill's doing now. He was on last night. I don't know if you saw it. But yeah, maybe Ange needs that. I don't know. But you don't always have to jump into the next job after the next job. But fair play because he's got a decent payout, hasn't he? Twice in the last.
One last question from chat. He's been asking a bunch, but I think this one's actually a little bit more topical. So I'll throw him one for Rylan. He wants to know. I think he's a Chelsea fan. Would you take Caicedo over Bruno? But I think a better question would be: would you take Caicedo over Tonali? Because I think they play more of the same role.
No.
I think the different player. I think Tonali and Bruno can play as an 8, whereas Caicedo's more of a 6.
No.
Okay. No, I wouldn't know.
I would say no to both.
But it's not like that. But...
Listen, probably controversially, if we're talking purely on skill, I might take Caicedo over Bruno. I don't think I'd take him over Tonali, but the intangible is Bruno is a unicorn in that he's got the skill he does and understands us. I don't think there is a player of his caliber. I think of Bruno Fernandes at Man U. He gets what it means to be at Man U. You get those players that get what it means to be at that city. And I think Bruno gets us in a way that you could make that by 99 times more, and you probably wouldn't hit it out of the park. You're going to get the Isaks that are going to forget us in 2 seconds, all the love and adoration we showed him. So to me, if I take away that, I do think maybe Caicedo is a slightly better player than Bruno.
I would argue the case. I'm sorry if I sound delusional Newcastle fan. I wouldn't take any other midfielders over Bruno or Tonali.
I think Caicedo is better at breaking up the play than Bruno, but Bruno's a lot better, in my opinion, as an 8 and going forward.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm putting all of it together, I'm fully with you, Nigel. I wouldn't take anyone over Bruno because Bruno is that perfect blend of getting us. But if I take off the intangibles and just look at the skill, because I was even arguing, and this was, I might make people angry, but I guess it was 2 summers ago. I was saying, do we maybe cash in on Bruno when there was all those rumors swirling? And I'm glad we didn't. But I remember 2 summers ago, I was making a heavy pitch that I thought we should have.
Since we've given Bruno the captain's armband as well, I don't know what you two think about this. I feel like Bruno's game's gone to another level again.
I think he started a bit slow after getting the armband, but in general, yes, he's been very good.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, thank you all. Thank you, Rylan. Thank you, Pillow, for all your chats. Again, I apologize for not getting to more of them, but thank you again to our sponsors, Ballybet. If you haven't checked them out, make sure to give them a check out. If you haven't already, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button. We've got all kinds of content. Lee will be posting the last word, match reaction, all kinds of things coming up in the next couple of days. Keep your eyes peeled for a women's podcast if that's your thing as well. We do women's team coverage as well on the channel. Keep your eyes peeled for that. All kinds of big coverage and news coming on there. But yeah, thank you, Nigel and Jacob, for joining me tonight. Any final thoughts from you? Otherwise, I'll let you head off.
No, I think really successful night. I think it's just what we needed tonight. So yeah, hopefully we can replicate it against Fulham. But yeah, let's go.
Totally great win, and yeah, hopefully we can have a match game on Saturday against Fulham.
Yep. Cheers, guys. Away,
Cheers, guys.
the lads and lasses.
Well, the lads. Cheers.